Hello everyone. This video is going to be about LangCorn. So in the previous video we looked at LangChain. This is similar, but it's got different features. LangCorn is an API server that enables you to serve LangChain models and pipelines with ease, leveraging the power of FastAPI for a robust and efficient experience. So I've had a quick experiment with this and it's pretty good. It's kind of fairly intuitive, and I'll show you. So it's up and running already. I'll show you the kind of the nitty gritty of it in a minute, but it's got its own open API Swagger interface that you would kind of expect or hope for. And what we've got here, you can probably see from the right hand side here, all of these files here are different LangChain examples. So 1 down to 9. And yeah, if you go to the Swagger interface, you can see those same ones. We'll have a look at those in a second. I was just experimenting with example 5, which was conversation. You've also got a sequential chain, you've got conversation with a summary, you've got agent, double chain, and health check as well. Just run that. That's gonna just tell us it's running, and probably hopefully it'll tell us that API key and everything's all set up. But yeah, it just shows you. So anyway, the one that I've just tested out is example 5. Now, I tested it out and then I obviously got all the output on the screen, but I always like to kind of automate all the testing of it and everything. So testapi.py. At the top, you can see I've imported JSON, I've imported requests, pass in the headers just to be good. JSON data, so I'm passing in a string, or history is a string. The input, so if you were trying to run all this to call the API from a Python file, this is what you would do. This would be your query, so you'd probably set that as a variable, and then you'd write some code, which then obviously creates and modifies that variable. Response equals request.post, so again, post request. As you can see, all of these are post. And then you post the input inside some JSON that you send as JSON data. So you don't pass it as a query string parameter. Headers equals headers, which we've just set up there. And okay, so I'm running this locally. HTTP is at quad 0 port 8000. This is slightly different to what you might be used to. So because it's FastAPI, you run it from the directory above, if that makes sense. So examples dot, and then it's example 5. So basically, the examples is the directory below where you're running FastAPI from. ex5 is the name of your LangChain model and code. If I click on that, I'll show you that. So ex5 is here. So this is if you've been using LangChain, this hopefully be familiar. Import OpenAI. Just to recap, with LangChain, you don't have to use OpenAI, but obviously most examples will show OpenAI, partly because when you're demonstrating it, it's just a bit quicker. You can import and set up your own models, but then you need lots of RAM, and then they sometimes run slower. So yeah, I guess that's the reason why most people are showing that OpenAI is with tutorials. It's not my favorite thing really. I would like to start using more free models, but the other day I tried to use something called I've forgotten the name, but it needed 16 gigabytes of RAM, and my old laptop's I think 8. So yeah, prompt. So you pass in a prompt, and following is friendly conversation. Then you've got your input. So your input there is what actually is the input parameter that you saw on my code just a second ago. So yeah, what color is grass? So do you see that there on line 11 by the light bulb? That's what will actually populate input there. So the system message, just setting it up. You've got messages placeholder, that's history. Human message, so it's expecting some input in the form of a human input, i.e. a question. So it starts a conversation with hi there. That's OpenAI as the AI talking to you. Then you follow that up with the input. So let's run it. And I'm going to ask it, I've already asked it what color is grass. Let's ask it something a bit more interesting. How long do anteaters live for? And you can see I'm running, that's interesting. I'm running debug with Uvicorn, so it's updating as I'm typing that. Right, let's come across here and run the test API. Again, I've done it from the example. Output text is not defined. Let's just have a look at what I've done here. Output text. I'll run that again. Sometimes when I'm doing a video, I'm talking and I click on something by accident and it breaks something. Okay, what's that done? Output text replace name. Output text is not defined. Ah, that's wrong. I used ChatGPT just to quickly set me up this code. Right, let's do it again. So you can see something's going on the left. It's hitting the objective. Okay, let's just remove all that. So right, run it again. This is just the output passing. It's that I've got issue with there. It's nothing to do with LangCorn. To be honest, it doesn't really matter whether I pass the output properly or not. We're just testing. It's not. If we were using it in a full-on program, then obviously we'd need to clean up, but we don't need to. So there we go. There's the output, and yeah, you can see on the left. So on the left-hand side, it's not letting me scroll down. That's really annoying. Anyway, there we go. So that was the output that we got. Output. Okay, that's why my strip and replace didn't work, was because I've got 2 new line characters there. I was doing a replace on AI. I was trying to replace AI colon with nothing. That should have worked. I don't know anyway. So anteaters typically live for about 6 to 20 years in the wild. In captivity, they can live up to 30 years. So yeah, it's answered the question and it's done it as an API endpoint. So let's try another one then. So let's check out number 6. What's example 6? That's just a basic or standard conversation. This is part of this is where it gets useful. I mean, if you signed up to OpenAI and you can just go into the web interface and just chat to it, use it as a chat bot. But once you start adding tools, it gets interesting. So we've got, this is the example from the LangChain documentation. So you've got a conversation here. Let's see. So you've got a tool for doing maths. Chat planner. What's this? Chat planner. Planning experimental. From LangChain experimental, plan and execute. Okay. Probably why I'd not come across it before yet then. Okay. If you turn verbose to false, it saves you tokens, by the way. So if we run this, can we pass in agent.run? So let's just look at example 7 in the API documentation. Could actually run it from here. What do you actually post to it? Request body required. Let's try it out. Input string. Request body required. Input string. Input string. Where does that end up? Here? Let's try it. We can run it from here. So if you don't want to create Python code, you can just create all your endpoints or create all your LangChain code and then just test it from here. How many days in a leap year? Any seconds? This isn't really taxing it. This might actually just do it from the language model, but something's happening. You can see the in just in the bottom left, you can see the API being hit. So forming example sequential chain. I could just move that across. Plan and execute. Let's go back. Okay, so it's answered it. It didn't. I was worried it was just going to tell us about Leonardo DiCaprio, or whatever his name is. Okay, so we could run this same. The number of days in a leap year is 365, and the number of seconds is 31,536,000. Okay. The drawback of doing it here is you don't see the verbose, you don't see the history. Okay, so that's a quick intro to LangCorn. And you've got your retrieval question and answer in here as well. Doc search. Fake embeddings. So even if you don't end up using this or you don't find it useful, it's it's actually using a lot of new or things that I haven't seen before. Probably because I haven't read all the documentation from start to finish, but yeah, the simple sequential chain. Yeah, so most of the examples are from the LangChain documentation. So really, the key feature of what I've shown here is the fact that it turns LangChain examples into API endpoints, which is brilliant because if you're doing a project, you will probably want to expose your models over the internet or whatever, or even locally inside an organization. And you don't always want to be doing Streamlit or Gradio interfaces or anything like that. So, and also if you've got like a website with a front end already, you can just you can call a FastAPI written in Python from JavaScript, which is something I will be showing you in a day or two because I've built a project using L402, so the WebLN payment. So what you can do is you can build a model in LangChain. You can now expose it as an API, which you would probably run behind, say, an Nginx or Apache web server, or sorry, you would, yeah, you'd kind of redirect with a Nginx web server. You'd set up in Nginx. It's called location. So then you would actually call the API endpoint from the outside world in user land, and then you would hit the API, and then you can get the response back from the FastAPI, which is obviously calling LangChain, which is then going off and calling ChatGPT or whatever language model is out there. Maybe Bard or something as well. I don't know. Has anybody used Bard? Let me know if you've been using any of the other language models. Again, Orca looks really good, but I just don't. I think that needed 16 gig of RAM, and yeah, maybe I need to go and get some more RAM, but money things. Right, so that's it for today. That's an intro to LangCorn. So it basically exposes your LangChain models and it builds the API endpoints for you. So it's pretty low on the code side of things, but you do need to really understand how to build the LangChain models. And yeah, if you're going to set this up on a server, then you'll need to know about Nginx, reverse proxy. One tip, if you're building something with JavaScript, just use, and you're running your JavaScript from var www html and then the name of your project. And then you've got FastAPI running with, say, UVcorn, or you shouldn't do that really, but you've got FastAPI running on the same server. Because you've specified the location to your website in Nginx, or the full path rather, only pass the relative path with your JavaScript. I made the mistake of doing a fetch with the full path and it didn't work, and I kept on getting net : refused in capital letters. So yeah, don't do that, not unless you want to spend hours trying to fix it. So yeah, the other thing is the example which was on GitHub didn't include this. So I always put this on just because it makes it easier for testing and everything, and it saves you having to go to the command line and type all the commands. It just stops and starts your code as soon as you actually run the FastAPI or the app.py file. So yeah, just to go back, when you run it, so let me just stop that server. This is kind of it's not hacky, but it's slightly customized to what you'll probably see in the documentation. Let me just get rid of that that right hand window. There you go. I know that's a bit convoluted, but really all that's doing is just saying Python and then examples.py. In fact, let me just show you. There you go. I'm having to specify Python 3.10 because I've set up a virtual environment, and it's just, yeah. So do any of you get into a right muddle with so many different versions of Python installed these days? It used to just be kind of Python 3.7, 3.8, but now it's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and yeah, you end up with so many choices of which interpreter to use. But there we go. That's up and running. So just remember, you have to go to the directory above. So the directory above is obviously examples, and then it's examples / app.py, which is, you can see in green at the top, and then you do if under name, etc. app. That can be quite slightly confusing. So it's always app on the right of the colon. So app on the left needs to match what your file's called. So if my file was called main, it would be main colon. Sorry about that. It would be main colon app. If you call it app and then you run it as app, it doesn't matter which way around it is. But there we go. So thanks for watching, and yeah, check back soon. I got a really interesting project using L402 with Lightning payments with Lightning micropayments using instant payments with pretty much zero commission. So if you've built something with an API which uses ChatGPT, and you want to, yeah, you don't want people using that and running up a big bill. So it's a way of kind of passing on the cost. So you can build something, and then you take micropayments using the Lightning network. If you don't know the Lightning network, it's built on top of Bitcoin, which is it's all an abstraction really. So Lightning is using or providing L402, and the 402 and L402 was basically the 402 status code, which means payment required. So yeah, I'll show you that in the next video, or maybe the one after that. I'm still kind of fine tuning it and just making it secure, because I don't want to show it to the wide world and then kind of find out that that I got hacked. Anyway, see you in the next video. Thank you.